So introducing our panel, our sister girls, we got Lisa. Hey, Lisa.
Hey.
We got Saida. Hey, Saida boo. And then we have Alexis, who is trapped in the
Hello.
car. She got to run away
Yeah.
from her kids. She ain't got no room. All right, y'all. So we're going to get right down into it. We're going to get into a short summary before we get into like the cover and everything else. So Lisa, hit us up with that summary of the book, synopsis, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. So we're here to talk about Work Song by author Danielle Allen. Here's my quick summary. Tati Green is not looking for love. Success in both the writing and fashion worlds are her only current concerns. So what happens when her New York bubble is bust by her Los Angeles transplant work best friend that she's gotten to know via work exchange over the last year, and he comes to wreck her plans? She isn't planning for West to be handsome, intelligent, quirky, and openly ready to pursue her in more than just a friendship once he's transferred to the New York office. What will Tati do once she feels that spark that she said she knew would ever happen with anyone when she meets him?
Oh, I was sitting up there mouthing. I'm like, I need a workbook. Okay, so now that we got the short summary, the synopsis, let's get into the cover design. So we're gonna put up the cover, and then y'all can let me know if y'all was feeling the cover. What did y'all like? So Lisa, how was you feeling about the cover?
Um, I did not like the cover. It didn't pull me in. I think that the picture of the young woman, assumed to be Tati, I thought it was a really nice picture. The woman's very attractive. The city looks very attractive behind her, but it really didn't pull me into want to read the book. It wasn't like the most, I don't know, like it's a nice cover, but I didn't fall in love with it.
How do you
Well,
feel about it, Alexis?
I like the cover. It didn't really pull me either way. I like it, the city background. So it's like, okay, young chick in the city. But like I said, it didn't sway me either way. Got my bun as a homage. I like it. I don't hate it. I like it.
Saida, go off mute. Saida, go off mute. Go off mute.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, delayed response. Um, the book cover didn't really. It was nice. It didn't really represent anything for me. I'm more interested in the content of the book, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But the book cover was just fine. I can honestly say if I hadn't already read a previous book from the author, I probably would have breezed by the book cover. It didn't really stand out for me, but it didn't take anything away from the actual book. So
This is a crying shame because I loved the cover. Like, this is so bad because I'm like, oh, y'all gonna just love this cover.
no, Miss, I don't like stuff.
I really, so that's what y'all say about me anyway. But I thought the cover was really, really good. Now, the only problem I have is that I wouldn't have picked her to be the girl. Like, she didn't match up the girl on the cover. She didn't match up to who I thought would have been the girl. Like, you get what I'm saying?
What were
I
you?
was a little thrown.
What were you
Once I read the story, I didn't think Tati looked anything like her, the girl on the cover, actually. I'm not even talking about like height, and I'm talking about like her physical features that was described within the book. But
I
I did
can
like
agree. I can agree with that. Like I can
yeah.
see where you're coming from with that statement. That's not how Tati. She doesn't fit the Tati aesthetic.
Yeah, she didn't to me. And that was the only thing that was like that was crazy because I'm like, yo, the cover is popping. I like the whole thing because it's taking place in Brooklyn. It's in New York, so I get the whole city in the backdrop, and I get the girl to me. She's striking, but I like the cover. But when I read the book, I was like, why doesn't this girl look like the girl who we were reading about? Like, I was confused.
maybe that was part of
So
the
that's my thing. So what do you think?
maybe that was part of the illusion.
Yeah,
Maybe that was part
what
of
to
the
make her look?
yeah, to make her look like, and so in the beginning of the book, we'll go get into that, but I think it was part of the illusion that Danielle Allen was trying to give. Not that I did the book with Danielle Allen, I'm in her head, but I think that it was part of the illusion because like you probably looked at the cover and was like, oh, there's some like skinny girl. You know, you have like your own perceptions, but once you read the book, you could be like, well, your face, or like, I guess to say like, you don't know, like you really can't determine what a person is going to look like. From the top up, she has a really pretty face, but you also know that she's a plus size girl. So it leaves stuff to the imagination. It creates that illusion, and it kind of goes into the book itself.
I get what you're saying, but nobody don't know all of that. All we know is like the cover itself. I think the cover, so out of 1 out of 5, because I'm like, I get what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense, like for everything else. But I'm like, we wouldn't know that until we already read the book, and then we get the story. Like, you know, that's when we could kind of play on back and forth. But I'm like I said, if I was just in Barnes and Nobles or Amazon or wherever, and I just saw this cover, it's a great. I love the cover. So on a 1 out of 5, what do y'all give it?
I give it a 4.
I give it a 3.5.
Give it a 3.
Zayda?
I give it a 3.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the price. It is $3.99 on Kindle.
Yay.
If you got Kindle Unlimited, it's $0.00. Well, not really $0, but y'all get what I'm saying. It's on. You don't have to, like, you know what I mean. You don't have to actually pay for it, even though you're paying whatever to read it. So what do y'all feel about the price?
I think the price was fair. I do have Kindle Unlimited, but the book was 443 pages. It was a very in-depth book, so if you want to average it out, you're paying about $1 a page. And I think that's realistic because you don't get lengthy books these days. Like, you know, I've seen books for 170-something pages, and they want $3-4 for it. And I'm sighing, and I'm like, you lucky this on Kindle Unlimited. Like, don't play. So I think the book price was very, very fair, and I think that if I did not have Kindle Unlimited, I would have paid $4 for the book.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Zayda?
I have Kindle Unlimited too, so I was unaffected by the price. However, I think $3.99 was fair. I didn't even, to be honest with you, I didn't even know it was $3.99 because it was a Kindle Unlimited. So, you know, you just press that download button, so it really makes
Never like a thing. Alexis?
The price doesn't faze me. Prices really don't faze me with books unless it's like over $10.
Boy,
So, but I have KU
I'm
too.
about to say the same thing, boss.
No, but I have KU too. So
Lexi, here you go.
no, because I've paid like $9.99 for a book. Like, it just depends. I wouldn't side eye it because of the page count. So I probably would have clicked. I probably would have went and clicked anyway. Like, doesn't matter.
Okay, so I thought the price was actually really fair, especially I'm with Lisa. When I looked at the actual page length of the book and the price, I was like, yeah, you good with this. And then she's not trying to be funny. She's not a new author. She was like, that was her 8th book already. So she's not like, you know, she's been out here. And so, yeah, $3.99, and she was on Kindle Unlimited. So I thought it was fair. I even thought that the actual paperback price was fair because if you were a Prime member, you get free shipping and handling. I need to look into that. So the price to me was actually fair. I thought it was cool. So moving rapidly along, after the price, okay. So pre-thoughts. How did you get into the author? How did you hear about the author, or did you read something, a previous book? So maybe you read another book. Sometimes people read blog posts from authors. I've just been informed that people like go on their sites and they read their blog posts that are like short stories, and then they actually start reading their books. So let me know, how did you get into this author? How did you find out about her? Zayda?
Okay, so I found out about Danielle Allen via you, Cherie. Because you kept saying, you need to read the one. You need to read the one. And I'm like, I don't want to read no freaking one. I'm like, what are you talking about? I think at the time, I'll be honest, at the time I was reading something else, and I saw the cover of the one, and I was like, I ain't reading this, man. And then I had read through all my other books, and then I read the one, and I stopped that shit up. Like, I just couldn't put that shit down. So when it works, so I look back. So I'm a person that if I read a book by an author, I try to go back to their previous work, and they do contrast and comparisons to see like growth and see what their style of writing is. And that's how I stumbled upon work song, and I just fell in love with Danielle Allen. I'm not a stalker, Danielle, but I should know your work, girl. So, yeah, I had heard about her through Cherie, so thanks, Cherie, for putting this on, but not too much credit. Yeah.
People don't ever want to give me credit for nothing.
I'm talking about. That's why I'm going to do that. That's why.
Lisa, go ahead. What was your, how did you hear about Danielle Allen?
I actually got finished reading something, and it was one of my suggested reads at the bottom, on Amazon. For those of you who do not read books on Amazon, when you read a book on Kindle or on Kindle, period, if you like the book or if you don't like the book, it's based on what other people purchased, and it shows you suggested reading. And I saw it, and I thought it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I clicked on it, and I said,
you froze.
I'm going to try. I saw it. I read the synopsis. I saw the page length. I saw that it was on Kindle Unlimited. So I went and clicked it. And I was like, I'll get it. What did you say?
Lisa, you're freezing. So jump out and come back in. You're freezing. So I'm going to skip her. Alexis, you go ahead now.
Okay. I've heard about Danielle Allen because of Goodreads. We were friends over there, talked and chatted books. I knew her as an author, but this was the first time I read her work, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that because I've already met her at a book signing before. She's a lovely person in person, I should say too. But but this is the first time
you actually started reading her book.
Yeah, I met her 2 years ago.
Oh.
And I was already friends with her even before that, like just from reading and talking about books. So, but this is the first time I read her work. And sometimes it's like that with me for authors. If I see them a lot, I might not start their work. Like I've even picked up, I'm weird. Let's just leave it at I'm weird.
Okay. You're weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I was saying you're weird. Saida, you're frozen, so I'm gonna need you to jump out because it looks like she's sleeping. So I had actually, how did I find out about it? Okay, let me tell you. So I had saw the cover. I think I want to say on her Facebook thing, and on her Facebook page. And I was like, yo, this cover is kind of bomb. And I just downloaded the book. I really didn't know the synopsis of that book. And then I started reading it because I started skimming through it. And I was like, yo, this book is kind of good. But when I saw the synopsis later on, I was like, I would have never have downloaded it if I would have just like read the synopsis, because the whole reality TV type, it was kind of like, I've heard it all before. But when I read it, it was way different. So I would tell somebody to pick up that book. But we ain't here for that book right now. We here for Work Song. But that's how I heard about how I found out about the author. I saw the cover of her book, and then I downloaded it, and then I started reading. I was like, wow, she's a dope writer. And I like her writing style, so that's kind of how I got into it. Okay, so we're going to keep this train on trucking. Your thoughts about the book. Give me the review. We're going to start with, let me see who we're going to start, because I don't want to start with myself, because y'all always be like, should we give like the long old book report reviews? So I'm going to start with Saida. We're going to keep it on Saida smiling and smirking.
So, reviewing the book. I thought the book was excellent. In the first, I had posted this, when I first even opened the book, I was just captivated by this one part of the beginning of the book, and I have to read it because it's just so good, because it really speaks volumes to the rest of the book. Please bear with me, people. In her dedication, she put, if you've ever let someone else's standard of beauty dictate how you feel about yourself, this is dedicated to you. Beauty doesn't have a size. Beauty doesn't have a skin color. Beauty doesn't have a hair type. Beauty doesn't look just one certain way. Beauty originates from within and emanates from the love you have for yourself. So love yourself, take care of yourself, because you are beautiful, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's the dedication, people. When I read that, it really stuck with me, because I was like, I wonder what I'm gonna get out of this book. Because when you hear Work Song, I'm like, maybe they like record producers, he and his singing and producer, and they fall in love. but that was not what it was all about at all. And I really enjoyed that this book really touched on like just loving yourself no matter like size, shape, people's perception of you. And I think like for me personally, I found it to be something that touched me because, as a woman, you deal with a lot of different facets of yourself. You go through changes and stuff. So it's like it was nice to read a book that, even though I didn't look like the character, I could relate to some of the insecurities that were present or things people say. So I really found this book to just be more than just something good to read. I found it to just be a powerful message just for me as a woman. So I just love the book. I love the characters. Tati was bomb. Wesley was bomb. And I just love how their love story unfolded. So yeah.
You breaking up?
I'm breaking up. Do I need to repeat myself?
Because you started breaking up.
Huh?
Yeah, the end of the part. You started breaking up at the end.
Okay, you want me to repeat that again?
You said the characters was bomb. You said this West was bomb, and then after that, you said something else.
I said I just really enjoyed how their love story unfolded. So yeah, it was a really good book. Really enjoyed it. It's actually, I mean, there's other books that she has that I'm trying to read, but this is definitely one that had me be like, I'm in love with Danielle. I'm in love with her though. I like this. This is good.
What would you give it? Like on a 1 out of 5. What would you give it?
If I had to rate the book,
yeah.
This book is not even on the scale. This is not even like, it's not even a 1 to 5. Like this is like a 5, 5, 6. I'm serious. I'm very serious about my books. Okay, I'm very serious about my books. And this is one book that I'm like, it's not even a book that can be scaled. And I think that's because I really was attached to this book to the point that I was like, yo, Danielle Allen is dope. So I really enjoyed this book. It was good. Like I won't even put it on a scale, so don't even do that to me. If I had to scale it, it's a 6. And this we only do a 1 to 5, so you already know what that is.
All right, Alexis.
My thoughts on the book. I was hooked like from the first couple of pages. I felt like an idiot for waiting so long to read her stuff. Because as I read it, I thought, oh, she's writing for me. She's talking to me. Like she's writing for me. It was very relatable. She pulls you in with the emotions out the bat when certain things happen to Tatiana, like within those first couple of pages. So I got attached to Tatiana like real quick. Even Wes, without even initially meeting him, how she wrote them, that play, it was very playful. How she themed it with the movies, like I just loved that whole theme, how she integrated that into her writing. It was just adorable to me. It made me love the characters. It just made them even more endearing. And once they met, like it was already a little bit of steam when she was like, is he flirting with me? Is he, like, she kept questioning, like, is he flirting with me? Wait a minute. It was just like undeniable, their chemistry without even meeting. I just loved it. I loved the twist. I love how driven and focused Tatiana was. Homegirl was smart. She was smart. She was determined to just get her place in that like male dominant world. Like she was like, I'm gonna carve my space right here. I'm here. What's up? Like I loved that. Yeah. I just loved it. It was so good.
Alexis, you make me want to read the book again. Like you give it
so
everything right now.
It was good. I'm trying to tell you.
On a 1 out of 5.
It was a 5, and I've been doing good.
1 out of 5. What would you give the book?
It was a 5. I've been doing good. I've been lucky. I'm scared to read something else. I'm for real. I'm scared.
So you give the book a 5?
Yeah, 5.
Okay. Lisa, come on, Lisa. Bring it on home, baby girl.
Wait, I'm not going last, so I can't bring it home.
All right, but I'm just saying.
No, I feel bad because I enjoyed the book, but I'm not as passionate about the book as Saida or Alexis. I enjoyed the book. I did. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the real life situations that were put into this book. I enjoyed that the book was not over dramatized. Like this is not a book you're going to read and you're going to go live in a fantasy world for the next month, expecting this just dream world to happen. Like, oh, if this happened to this character, it can happen to me. This is what was way more realistic, and I'm going to say that because even if you don't converse with somebody over the internet at work, you've conversed. Most people at this point, because of social media, have online flirted, at least, like to some extent. And so you do have these fantasies in your head about what would happen and the possibilities of meeting this person. And through Tatiana, we were able to vicariously live this so realistic life. Like, I know people who've met their soulmates online. So even though this is like their online was via work messenger, like it's so realistic because online can be anywhere at this point in our lives and in the world that we live in. But I really liked how realistic the characters were. Like, you know, these were working people. These were people who had 9-to-5s, who had dreams, who had hustle, who had heart, who had real life situations. And I'm not talking about the situations we read about in other books. I'm talking about situations that us as young women are going through right now. So I really did enjoy the book. I did. And I loved Wes. I loved him. Tatiana got on my nerves. Like, that dramatic stuff, like all that, like, she was a little overboard for me. But people like her get on my nerves in real life, and I'm dramatic. So for me to say that, it's like, come on, sis, come on, y'all right.
But what was dramatic? What was so dramatic about her?
Like, I don't want to give everything away, but I get.
I'm just saying, just what you gotta say. This is not like it's gonna be a spoiler or two. I done spoiled the book. I done spoiled the whole story.
No. I get her. I understood her concerns, but her reactions, like, it was never a 5 for her. She went to 10. Like, she went straight to the top. Like, we can't. Like, boo, calm down. Like, I'm gonna get fired. My world gonna end. And I think what I do appreciate about the drama was that the book ended with her. We saw her maturity in handling situations like that towards the end of the book. And with the book being so long, it gave us that character development and that depth to see where Tatiana started in the beginning of this friendship with Wes, to him moving and her having so many concerns about their friendship blossoming into something else, to the decision she made towards the end of the book. You saw maturity in each one of those decisions. So the beginning of the book, Tatiana, yeah, she got on my nerves because every time something happened, she jumped into this overly dramatic mode where it was the end of the world.
Come back because you just your whole.
I quit.
Say that again, Lisa. You got messed up.
I said I quit. But I give it a 4 out of 5. So Saida and Alexis do not beat me. I get a 4.5 out of 5. It wasn't perfect. A 4.5 out of 5. It wasn't perfect, but I did enjoy the read, and I enjoyed the length, and I enjoyed the depth, and I enjoyed the characters. But it was not a perfect read for me. Shoot me later.
Oh, you gave it. You said what was your rating again?
4.5 out of 5.
Ooh, say it slow. This is the type of vibe I get. Go out for a minute and come back in so we can get your audio working correctly. And then we're going to get to my review. So once you jump out, now I can really give y'all what the real book was really about, okay? So this book for me, honestly, I don't want to jump now, but I will say this is one of the
Say it. Just say it.
I don't want to say it was one of, because the year not over yet, so I don't want to be like, yo, this is one of the best books I read this year. But Danielle Allen, as a writer, she writes complete stories. Let me tell you, now I got to break this all the way down. Number one, this was a realistic book as hell. Like, I was waiting. Like, I'm like, yo, on Monday, I'm going to go on Communicator and I'm going to scroll. Anybody got a W in their name? Wes? Something. I'm going to start talking to him. That was one of the things that I appreciated about her. It wasn't one of those, like, because some writers, they write so far-fetched. It's like, this could never, like, you would have to be in your imagination to, imagination station. But she wrote a real story, and they were both successful They were both young. They were both trying to find themselves. And to me, even though their relationship was very slow, because it was a 3 month, like they were talking online for 3 months, and then he came, and then for like 2 weeks, all of this started happening. So this was a very like short relationship. But I think because the way the internet is set up, you could really be talking to somebody all day long, like all day, and never actually see them, and you're very close to them. So that was one thing that I knew that a lot of people kept saying, well, their relationship was rushed. But I was like, no, if you think about it, how we live with social media and stuff like that, when it comes to texting and talking, we're in like constant communication with people that we don't know all day long. And they have like an access to us that we've never had before. So boom. Let me get into like a little bit of it. I thought that it was good that Tatiana was very ambitious and she was about her work, and I thought it was great that what Danielle Allen does, she writes the complete character. So we saw how Tatiana was as a person, we saw how she was as a friend, we saw how she was as like I guess a girlfriend at one point, because you know their relationship was so up and down. We saw how she was as a daughter, and we got a complete view of how she thought about the world. So if I had to put her in a situation right now, I'd be like, oh, Tatiana probably would do this, or she would handle herself this way. But I was like, what I loved about it is that it could have been a movie. Like I literally saw myself. I just watched Just Right the other day with Queen Latifah, and I'm like, yo, this book could be a movie, like, you know, in that area, because we haven't seen a plus size girl take on a main character role where she's not like a side not a side chick, a side girl that's like the comedic plus size girl. Like she's the main character, and she's seen as like a sexy girl, smart girl, and she's not seen as just like the best friend or like the funny girl who would always bring in a joke. Now, what I didn't like about the book, and before I keep going, is that this book is how many pages is this book? 433 pages. About 3 of those chapters to me was the same chapter. It was certain chapters I was just like, this could have all been in one chapter, or she just prolonged certain things, especially when it kept going back and forth with Tatiana not knowing if she wanted to be with Wes and going back. I felt like I had just read this a chapter ago. The only thing I will say is that in each chapter, when I was just like, I did just read this already, she would give me something a little bit more. Like she would bring Liam in, or she would bring, you know, something with Cece would go down. You know, it would be something to keep me interested. But I do think that it was like at least 30 of those pages, like for me, was just, I didn't need all them pages. And then lastly, I did think, because I was talking to some of the girls in the Sister Girl Book Club, and in the beginning, and this is why I messed up a little bit, everybody kept saying, well, she was so annoying after a while because she was insecure, but then she was confident. It was like she was confident, but then she was insecure. And at first, I was like, that was my beef, too. It was like she was getting on my nerves with that. It was like, if you're confident, be confident. But then I thought about it. I'm like, no, she's a complete woman. I don't know about y'all women, but for me, if it's 7 days out the week, at least 4 of those days you're battling with self-confidence. We were hearing her thoughts in her head. You know what I mean? So even though she was exuding all this confidence, she was still a regular woman who had to deal with this. And what I also liked about Danielle Allen's writing is that she let you see it from both spectrums. She didn't just have her best friend, who I'm thinking is like a model type, you know, who on our like world she would be perfect or whatever. She had her own self-confidence issues, and she wanted everything that Tatiana had, like when it came to boobs or being curvaceous or having a butt. So I'm glad that she was able to showcase it from both ends, that we're all women and we do have insecurities. As a plus size girl myself, you know, looking cute every day, I was happy that she was plus size. Y'all can take yourselves over mute because I feel like I'm talking to myself now. But I thought that, I thought that was what I loved. The only thing that was crazy to me, I thought about when I thought about this being a movie, and I was like, that's a reflection of where we are when it comes to beauty. I couldn't put a girl, like when I read books, usually if they say tall, dark, red, and handsome, I think, oh, that could be Morris Chestnut. If they say dark skin, blah, 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 I'm like, oh, that's Gabrielle Union, or that's Megan Good, or whatever the case is. I couldn't put a girl who was 27 and was plus size that I already knew in Black Hollywood. So I was like, that was something that was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I also wanted to see more about Wes. Even though we kind of knew who he was, I feel like we didn't know who he was. It was, right. I still was left with a like, who is Wes? He was like confident at some points, and at some points I'm like, is he an alpha male or is he just a nice guy? I didn't know.
Right, right.
He
But
exhibited some like alpha male qualities, and then other times I'm like, well, is he kind of corny? Like, I didn't know. I just wanted more from him. So
yeah,
that was my whole thing.
I
So what?
liked Wes.
So what do y'all think about the plus size? Her being a plus size girl.
I think that it's great that Danielle Allen explored that woman, because realistically, every woman, like, you get tired of reading books where every woman has got the perfect measurements, because that is not reality. And yeah, we read some of these books to escape reality, but we still want representation. You still want representation of how women come different shapes, colors, sizes, and that's something that we fight in reality. And so it's time to start fighting that in the literary world as well.
Mm-hmm.
I
Like,
agree.
oh, Alexis was like,
Go ahead, Alexa.
I was about to say I agree. You don't really get that a lot with authors. Like I can only think of one other author I know, and every time she writes a female, like her heroine, is always true to life. She's not no skinny little whatever twig. Nothing wrong with being skinny, but whatever. Her females are always true to life. They're down to their clothing style, their height. Like they come in different heights. Like she just Kristen Ashley, she always writes like a true to life female. So you don't get that often. It would be nice if people did that. Well, authors wrote that more.
the only thing I was thinking about, and maybe this was just me because I am a plus size girl and I've been plus size kind of like my whole life or whatever. I was wondering if she made her very fashionable on purpose, because like growing up, even though like we had plus size women in my family or whatever, it was always one of those things where like you have to make sure that you're well put together, that you always have to make sure that you don't look sloppy. You have to make sure everything is intact. Like if my cousin who's the same age as me and she was to bend over, maybe her crack was hanging out, that would never happen to me anyway, but I'm just saying like it wouldn't be a big deal. Me, it would be like the world and came to an end. So I would, even when it comes to dressing and all that, I've always been raised, I know that everybody who can dress, whatever the case is, but it was always that thought that you had to make sure that everything was in proper order. You didn't look a certain way because you didn't want to come off, because people already have negative views or images of what they think a plus size girl is. Either she's lazy, she can't move as fast, or I don't know. It's just a whole bunch of things that comes with, you're already a black girl, so that's like 3 strikes. You're already coming in with 3 strikes when it comes to beauty and like society, and then you add being plus size. So I was wondering, like, would have been different if she was just a regular plus size girl. Like she was like a fashionista, like she was bomb. And I'm from New York, so I see plus size girls every day, like doing the damn thing. But I wanted to know if she wrote her extra glamorous because of that. So you couldn't say anything to her. It was like, all right, you already knew that this was a fabulous girl. You get what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
I do get what you're saying, but I kind of, we're not in Danielle Allen's head. This is just our opinion. I kind of feel like that more so balanced out the tomboy side of her, because if you had her as a plus size woman who was a sports writer, it would be like, okay, boy. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but it kind of brought her femininity into this play, because we as readers, when we read about Tati and this relationship, it's a romance novel. We wanted to see some of her, the same way we wanted to see some masculinity in West. We wanted to see some femininity in her, and like, if we're being real, that's the only femininity that we had in Tati. Tati was strong, confident, had a smart mouth. She was career driven. So if she didn't have that fashionista quality added to her character, I don't think I would have liked her character at all. And I don't know why Danielle Allen made her. And I also like that she did do it, because I feel like in the world that we live in, we don't get to be these dual people. You're either this or you're that. So to be able to be a girl, because when you think about women who like sport, you think about tomboys. You think about the ones who don't like makeup, who don't like putting on heels, who don't like getting dressed. Or if they do, they gold diggers and they looking for a man. Tati's the opposite. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
She like getting dressed up. She like putting on makeup. She like getting her hair and nails done. But she knew everything about every sport on the back end, and not because she wanted to have a man, but because she genuinely had an interest in sports.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that dual personality that Danielle Allen was able to layer her in. And I think that's real because we as women, we as people, period, we have that. Like you can like coffee and tea at the same time. Like you ain't got to just be this one boring ass person.
That's true. And then the last thing I wanted to say was that I did like the fact that it wasn't she had to choose between love of maybe a guy and another guy. She just was choosing between love and career because I don't think that that gets addressed enough. It's always like, okay, I'm gonna just use Liam because Liam was like her. I don't want to say the other guy, but he was like a person that took interest in her. I thought that it was really cool that the story wasn't like, oh, she had to choose between one guy and another guy. You know what I mean? Because it could have went that route at one point. It was like she had to choose between her career and choose between love. You know what I mean? So and then she was on the upper hand. It wasn't like the guy who she was interested in was like a vice president or something, and he was over her, and now she fell in love with him or whatever the case is, and now she gotta like might lose her job, but he gets to stay. If you read the book, when it comes down to it, she was more of the, she was that chick. It wasn't, okay, she's going to lose her job and she's not going to be good. It was like, yo, he going to lose his job. You know what I mean? He's going to be the one that they let go instead of letting her go. So I thought that was really cool because it showcased that you don't have to always be like the damsel in distress. You don't always have to be like the girl who needs all of this help or in relation to like this strong guy coming to save you. She didn't need saving. She just needed, in a sense, she just needed to be like affirmed that her confidence was hers. And I think it also showed that a lot can happen when somebody plants a seed because she was confident, but at the same time, because of what her mother and her sister, sorry, not her daughter, her sister had done, she was very confident, but at the same time, those little seeds of negativity, it trickled over into how she dealt with men. And we saw this throughout the entire relationship with her, where she always second-guessed herself. But I do think that's human nature. So, I mean, it was a lot of stuff that went into it, but I think that this was a thorough book for anybody, not just a love story. It had a lot of good gems in it. What I also like is that every chapter was some type of like, self-love or like even the things that when she talks about football, like she put something in it that you could get and it kind of could brighten up your day. So how did y'all feel about that? Because I know that some people didn't like it, some people did like it. You'd be surprised. Some people didn't like the whole affirmation thing in every chapter. Saida?
I thought the affirmation piece was good because it gave you something to reflect on as you went into the next chapter. And I feel like it gave you insight into where her head was at, but from the standpoint of her alias that she was using, which we didn't even know was an alias until the end of the book, and how she just tied like her passion or what she liked to do or her hobby into how she was perceiving relationships and stuff like that. And so I thought that those affirmations were very helpful. That's because I'm also an affirmation kind of person, so I like those things. Everybody needs something positive to kind of, repeat and refer back to. So I thought that was helpful.
Alexis?
I liked it. I thought it was dope. Little tidbit lessons in each of them. I liked them. I highlighted. I'm a highlight queen, so I did a lot of highlighting.
Lisa?
Oh, I was a fan of the lessons. I didn't get all the football references. Don't judge me. Don't know a lot about
I didn't get all the football references either, but I think the football references technically were things that you can use in your everyday life. Like I think the football references actually were affirmations and low key.
Just being honest here. Didn't get everything.
No, you got it. So
but I did like. But I always like when authors start their chapters with something. Like just chapter 1, read. Give me a lyric, give me a title, give me a something. Like, I don't know, or maybe that's because I've been reading too long, because back in the day, people used to title their chapters, so you knew, like,
oh yeah, that is true. That's true. Now people just got chapter 1, chapter 2. Some people, it would have been like, that's crazy, because I think in each book, you kind of, off of what she had, her affirmation or whatever, even if it was like a football type thing, it did let you know the tone of the chapter. If you like kind of caught it, you could have missed it. But overall, would you recommend this book to another sister girl? It's that point of the show. Saida? Well, I don't want to ask because I already know, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to another sister girl. I've already recommended it to some of my other friends. I just like that. I just love the idea that it just speaks to like women empowerment and just perception of beauty and loving yourself and building on confidence. And it doesn't just touch on a romantic relationship of a plus size girl trying to, it doesn't do that. It speaks to more than that. And so I think that this is definitely a book that I'd recommend. So yeah.
Alexis?
Yes, I would definitely recommend it. It's good. Romance. It's a good story. I just loved it. So good. Don't laugh at me. It was really good, though. I would definitely recommend it. It's a must read.
Okay, Lisa?
I would recommend it. I think it was a good read. Like I do think it was a good read. I think it was very, very interesting. Like I said, I did like the depth of the character. Like I feel like if we did not learn so much about Tati, and I I wouldn't have liked her. Like if I wouldn't have met her mom and her sister, if I wouldn't have met Amelia, if I wouldn't have known like what she had gone through, if she just was like, I wouldn't have liked her as much. So for Danielle to give us so much depth and really build the layers of this character, it was kind of like she was by the end of the book. Tati was your girlfriend. Like she was like you done learned her whole life. She was your homegirl. Like you could call her on the phone and cuss her the hell
Well, and to me, she had a lot of heart. That was one thing I appreciated. She had heart. Because it's like, for me, it was like certain parts of that book. Yeah, it was certain parts of that book, I promise you, like the part with the, and y'all can all go off mute because now I want to hear y'all actual opinions about what I'm saying. I'm not that good of a person. Like, my mother wouldn't have been talking to me any kind of way. She would have stayed her behind right in that hospital, and I would have had no parts. I would have been right on my way back to home, and she would have been there. So I think she did a good picture of who she was as a person, and I thought that was good because now we can see how she developed. I think sometimes in books we don't get that. We just see them in a relationship, and then we see them like, I guess, whatever breakup they have or whatever is going on, and it's like, well, who is this person? Then we start learning about who they are because they broke up with whoever. So I think she did a good job at like fleshing out the character, the main character, Tatiana. We knew who she was, and then she was placed in these situations. So given whatever happens, we're like, yo, we know how she gonna act. She's cool. She's whatever. I do think this could be a part two. I don't know if she's aiming for it because I wanted to know, like, their relationship was so quick. I'm just like, well,
see, and that's what I said. I don't think the relationship was quick. I just personally would like to know more about Wes because
I wanted to know about him.
One of the things I did realize, once I ended the book, it was like Tatiana had these deep war wounds from growing up in such a hostile environment. And like Wes, what we learned about him is that he was tired of the superficial bullcrap in Los Angeles. And when he met Tati, he fell for her because it was real. He knew she wasn't after anything. And Wes was the man on the West Coast, so that kind of rhymes. But he was the man at their company in the West Coast. Like you can, from the first couple chapters with their banter, their back and forth banter, you could tell like that he was somebody. Like he wasn't just, he had an assistant, he had his own office.
Right.
You don't know what Wes was doing when he was in the West Coast office. We know he got a promotion once he got to New York, but what was Wes like before, pre-Tatiana? So I guess like to contradict what we were saying about Tatiana, we got all this background information about her, but who was Wes before Tatiana? Because we got to know Wes through Tatiana's eyes.
Yeah.
So like kind of like a prequel, kind of just like, well, it's like who are they before a work song to get like more
right
to like,
because we know about his past relationship, but like what damage did they do to him? Because we always talk about the damage that relationships do to women, but we know that he was in a relationship with a very superficial and fake person.
Yeah.
And it was somebody that he grew up with. So it's not like it was. I want to read about that. Like I want to know about that. I want to go back into Wes's sister, why their relationship was the way they were. Like it's so much more that I feel like he could have gave us. And because he was so cute and quirky, I would read a book about him. He was so like I feel like he was so. I don't know. Wes was perfect to me, and I don't know. Y'all can take me for that, but Wes was perfect to me. He was handsome. He was quirky. He wasn't overly confident. Like most of the men I read about, he was just like so like. In my review, I say Wes was smooth as motherfucking silk.
Yes.
Okay? He had lines. that he had a comeback for everything. Wes was like this, like, I got you. Let's get it. And then
Yes.
Yeah,
Y'all was gonna say
I
Y'all
feel,
was gonna say
I feel
that.
like if she did, I don't want to read a prequel about their lives. I would want to read a part 2, and I think she would. If she, I mean, I'm just trying to give you a suggestion there. I'm not trying to write your story, but if you just let me get a chapter, I think that if she did do the part 2, I wouldn't want to go back in time because I really don't care about what happened before. I do think that she left a lot of open. If you remember, like when they're on the phone, him and his sister, he was like, "Oh, such and such," and he was like, "Well, what happened with Cece?" And then she had to get off the phone. So I'm like, "Yo, their relationship was way deeper than I don't know if he said a lot because." The sister is called, like, they had a lot of deep embedded history. Like Cece's sister was like his sister. You know what I'm saying? So even if, they're not together now, his actual sister wanted to know why did Cece call? Like, she was interested in what did she want, even Cece popping back up. So I feel like if they did a part 2, I would want to know what happened with Wes. We could kind of see more of him infused in the book. I don't want to know what happened before because I'm
Or maybe give Cece a book.
no, I don't want to read about Cece either.
I can read that. Now, she gives Amelia. I will tell you what book I will read. I will read Amelia's book. I think that the shadow of Amelia that we saw in the book, Amelia touched my heart in so many. Like, she just seemed so calm, so serene, but it was something about her that seemed broken. Like, so I would like to read about Amelia and like what was going on with her because we saw little parts of her, but we didn't really get a full visual of who Amelia was. And not that we were supposed to. This was Tati's book, but if we're gonna talk about characters and who I would read about Amelia. I would not read about Cece. Y'all can keep her.
Yeah, I don't want Cece.
I would read about Cece. I'm all for the underdog. You don't like her.
No.
You don't like her. You don't like her. I want to read about her. If you don't like her, make me like her. Make me like her.
Well, okay. So everybody said I would recommend this book to to any sister girl out there, and I think you would get a lot from it. Not just a love story. I think you do get a story about self-importance. It also it made me question a lot of things in my own life because I'm very career-driven, and it was always one of those things. Do I feel like I'm ever have to choose between a career and a person, or a career and loved ones, or career and a guy? So I think it kind of makes you think about your own life, and I like books that make me think about my life. And sometimes I like to read about a book that's out there. But when I can read about a book, and I'm sitting up here like, dang, am I ever going to be put in that position? Because it could really happen. So yeah. So that concludes the review. But before we go, we got to take care of some business. So make sure you follow the Sister Girls Book Club on Facebook. So that's SISTAHGIRLS. After you do the slash on Facebook, that's the groups. And then on Twitter, it's Sister Girls BC. And then on Instagram, it's Sister Girls Book Club. And so I'm going to let Saida take it over before, because we had a giveaway going with Big Mom's Kitchen. Make sure you follow her on Facebook, Twitter, all of that is all Big Mom's Kitchen. And she was going to give not me, but 2 people would win a dozen of Big Mom's cookies. If you haven't heard about these cookies, you need to get up on it because it's like all over the book club world, she's popping. And if you read it, you always want a snack. So get yourself some Big Mom's cookies. Now, guys, that was like a good. I need to go into commercials. You know what I'm saying? But guys,
anyway, so I got a chance to eat these Big Mom Kitchen cookies. Bomb, okay? And I had a nice tall glass of cold milk. But to announce the winners of our Big Mom's Kitchen cookie giveaway, it's Kalia Ford and Victoria Coleman. Yay!
Congrats!
Congratulations! Let me see the cookies one more time. Let me see the cookies.
So
You got chocolate chip?
Yeah, I don't mess with nothing else but chocolate chip. Or does that? Nah, I can't. But let me shout out to Monique because okay, so I ordered my cookies because I wanted to taste them, and she let me know I'll be on vacation, so sorry for the delay. And when I got the box, I had 2, and then I got an extra half dozen. So shout out to Monique. Good customer service. I must say that. And good. So good I had to hide it for my boyfriend. You don't know what you should do that. They so good.
Well, that concludes the review. We will be back for our season finale. This sounds like we a real show, right? We got one more review. We ain't gonna tell you what book we review. You're gonna have to find out on the internet. And so keep following us. So say bye, everybody. Again, Saida, the
Bye.
Alexis.
Bye bye.
Bye, and we'll see you again next month. Tune in for our final review of the summer. We will be with you all summer 16 for the remainder. Later, guys.